What up, gang? It's your boy Joe Atang. Welcome to episode number 44 of A Cup of Joe Atang. We're going to run that intro back because I've been having the technical difficulties with it. So I want you guys to see it. I'm excited about it. We're going to run it back. I have Shoshana and Adam in the backstage. I can see you, but you can't see me. So I'll pull you on in just a second. I'm happy about this intro. I want to show it to the people out there. What's up, Michelle? What's up, Kay Miller, Josette? What's going on, guys? All right, let's see if this works this time. Be right back. All right, hopefully you guys can hear that because I've been trying to figure this out all morning and have been really excited to launch it. Let's go ahead and bring Adam and Shoshana on, who are AKA Plant Trainers, and we're going to be getting a chance to learn about their brand and what they're up to. It's all about having a healthy lifestyle, plant-based nutrition, and I'm super excited to talk to these two individuals. Good top of the morning.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. You guys are coming in real crisp with that mic.
Too crisp?
Too loud?
Back up?
No, real crisp, like good.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's good. Like it's amazing. First of all, I apologize for being late. I have a question for you. Did you guys get a chance to hear the intro, or was it still silent?
It was silent. We saw the video, but we didn't get to hear it. But it looks like it's going to be pretty awesome when it works.
It is pretty awesome. I think it has to do with this headset and the computer reading each other. But anyway, super excited to have you two on. Thank you so much for joining.
We're grateful that you invited us. We're happy to be here.
Sweet. So real quick, tell the people where you're from. I know you're in California, but where exactly? And kind of give us an intro on just your background.
Dude, we wish we were in California.
I know. California would be pretty cool.
So cool.
Did I get that wrong?
It's another C. We're actually north of the border. We're up in Canada. We're in Toronto, Canada. Yeah.
Canada. There it is.
But we're always California dreaming. Always.
Awesome. Me too. Me as well. Sweet. What's the weather like right now?
Well, it's actually been really, really nice here. And the temperature has been nice and cool, beautiful blue skies. Today it's going to rise up and get really hot and humid, but it's so much better than the cold winter.
Absolutely.
Take it any day.
Big time. So I'm from Texas. I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you, but I'm from Texas, and it's hot and humid. Have you all been able to travel there before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Super hot, super humid. Grew up my entire life. Moved over here to Indiana. I've been here for about 4 years, and I cannot tell you how insanely cold I am during the winter. So I'm super excited about this time of the year.
Yeah, we were in Texas 6 years ago, and I did my first Ironman there. So it was really hot when I was there doing that. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I've been back at least a couple of times to Texas in different seasons, and it's a really good place. I like the weather there, and I like the atmosphere and the people. The people are so nice there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I think we should dive right into Plant Trainers and what that's all about. I'm excited about it because I'm all about nutrition. Now, I'm not the best, and you guys are probably going to hold me accountable to some of my ways these days. But I always love learning about healthy eating and having a healthy lifestyle. So, give us a little introduction about Plant Trainers and what you guys are about.
So I'm going to take you back a little bit to where the whole thing started, which was about 10 years ago for me. And I was always an active, physically fit kid growing up. I always thought I was eating well, standard American diet kind of thing, but the healthiest version of. And as I went through high school, I got really into weightlifting and more fitness, and I started eating even better than I could or thought I was. And it was later in life that things changed for me. Like I said, 10 years ago, when all of a sudden I was watching a football game on TV and I had this pain running through my chest. And as a 35-year-old, to have that kind of feeling, those kind of symptoms of a heart attack, and you're someone who's a personal trainer who thinks he's eating well and doing exercise regularly, never overweight, always lean, it shouldn't be happening. So right. I got a little bit concerned, and I ended up going into the emergency room to get checked out. And they did some tests, some ultrasounds, and basically said nothing was wrong with me, go home. And so I went home. And a couple of weeks later, I got a call from my doctor who said, you need to come in right away. We found something and we need to discuss it. So the two of us went into the doctor's office, and he told us that they found a tumor on my kidney when they were doing the ultrasound, and it was completely unrelated to the feeling in my chest, which I guess it was just a muscle strain of some kind from a workout that I did, but that passed a few days later. And so they said I had a tumor on my kidney, and they needed to remove my kidney. They needed to remove the tumor immediately because it's a very rare type of tumor. It's called a hemangioblastoma, and it's embedded in the kidney. So I didn't know what to do. It was kind of crazy, crazy times. So what happened was, I went for a second opinion, and the second surgical oncologist said that he needed to take out the entire kidney because taking out the tumor would have been too risky and you would lose it anyway. And you could survive with one kidney. But I didn't feel good about that. So I went for a third opinion who said, let's do a biopsy, see what's going on before we take out body parts unnecessarily, which totally made sense to me. And so we did that. And when they did the biopsy, they found that it was a benign tumor. And the doctor called me and said, I have good news and bad news. It's a benign tumor, no cancer, awesome. However, the type of tumor you have is highly associated with a rare genetic disorder called VHL, von Hippel-Lindau disease, which I had never heard of before, and most people probably haven't. And so,
don't go home and Google it.
Right. So what do you do when you don't know, right? Well, the first thing you do is you go and you Google, you send your questions to your friend Google.
WebMD, right?
That's it. And so not good news. It was, it's a rare genetic disorder that deposits tumors along your central nervous system. And most people that have it don't survive past the age of 40. And at the time I was about 37, and Shush was pregnant with our second kid. And the thought of me only being around for 3 more years kind of was very disturbing. And so I called a friend of mine who's a neurologist, and I said, how do I know if I actually have this genetic disorder? What do I do? I want to, figure this out. And he said, go to an ophthalmologist and do a retinal exam, because the eye is a great window into the body, and you could learn a lot about someone's health by looking at the eye. And so I went for a retinal exam, and the ophthalmologist told me that, it's great. It doesn't look like you have any VHL signs, but you still got to go for blood testing and genetic testing. However, you have the beginning stages of heart disease. Your arteries in your eyes are narrowing, and the blood flow is not good. And if it's not good in the eye, it's happening all over the body. And so we need to take steps to get you better. And I didn't know what to do, because I'm not the type of person who likes to go take medication and go down that path. And so I started to do a bunch of research, and I came across a plant-based lifestyle. I came across Dr. Esselstyn, and the documentary Forks Over Knives had just come out. This was in 2011. Yeah, so that was a big impact. And I had read several books about the impact of a plant-based diet on our health. And then I came across Brendan Brazier, who is a Canadian Ironman champion triathlete. And he did everything, all his training, his whole lifestyle was plant-based. And I was thinking, because I'm an athlete, I was thinking, you know, it would be kind of cool to be able to perform at a higher level and get healthier all at the same time. Maybe I should try going plant-based. And so I turned to Shush one night and I said, Shush, tomorrow I'm plant-based, which means I'm not eating anything that comes from animals anymore.
And I said, you're crazy.
Just so this was like cold turkey. You're just like, you know what, I'm done.
Cold tofu.
Done.
So Adam is black and white. If he
That's
sets
amazing.
his mind to something, he does it. It happens. The mindset is already there. He doesn't need to work on it. And I was a young mom. I had just had our second child. I was having postpartum depression. I had just learned how to cook gluten-free because our son was allergic to wheat.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden he's throwing this wrench in everything. And I'm like, how, and I just gone back to work. So with a 1-year-old just gone back to work, and I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? So I told him, you'll eat chicken on Fridays and fish once a week, and we'll work our way from there. And Friday came and he cut it and put it towards his lips and said, nope. I remember it so clearly. He pushed it to the middle of the table and he said, I can't do this. And he got up and he went to the fridge and he found all this other food to supplement all the side dishes and vegetables that were already on the table.
That is amazing. Like that, the sheer willpower to be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to change my diet instantly is amazing. Wow.
The research was so clear, and to Adam, it was a matter of life and death, right? We had lost a friend a couple of years before to heart disease, no known signs or symptoms that we had known about. He went to go play floor hockey one day and had a heart attack, and that was it. And Adam was a hockey player at that time as well. So that was really, really scary to us, plus the tumor. And I think that he had that will for me, for the kids, for everything. So I think that when people have something on the line, it becomes easier. Plus, when you're as A-type as him, it's even easier.
Well, when your why is so powerful, it obviously makes a big difference. And so I could go on with the story, because what happened was I had to go for monthly checkups of the tumor to make sure it wasn't growing. And so every 3 months I would go to the hospital, they do ultrasounds, and they'd tell me, oh, it looks the same, come back in 3 months. And then after a year of eating this way, and I changed from playing team sports and started to get into triathlon. So that was a bit of a shift of activity lifestyle as well. And so I changed the food that goes into my body and the lifestyle of activity a little bit. But after a year of doing that, the technician who was doing the ultrasound and the doctor who looked at it said, something strange is really happening. Your tumor is starting to get a little bit smaller, and we don't see that very often. So what medication are you taking without telling us? What doctors are you seeing without us knowing?
Did you go to some kind of crazy clinic in Mexico?
Right. Like they were shocked. And so it just showed me that the food I was starting to eat and the lifestyle I was living had such a powerful impact. And then when I went back for another retinal exam that same time, a year later, the ophthalmologist said the exact same thing. My eyes, the arteries were wider, brighter red. The blood flow was going through very nicely. Heart disease was gone. What medication did I take? And they just were, it was disbelief that the food could impact someone just like that.
But the science makes complete sense, because when you're eating foods that help your overall cellular health, then you're going to reap the benefits of that. But a lot of animal products contain, help your IGF-1 hormones. And those are the hormones that grow cells. It's important to grow cells, but it doesn't distinguish between good cells in your body and abnormal cells in your body. So if you're growing your abnormal cells and you're eating animal products that contain hormones from those animals that are then doing the same thing in your body, you're going to begin to accelerate the growth of bad cells in your body. And since then, the WHO has said that processed meats are a class 1 carcinogen, right? In the same category as smoking.
Wow. That's real interesting. By the way, Shoshana, I heard
Yes.
him. I heard Adam call you Shush. Is that okay if I call you that? 'Cause
What
that's
you could talk. Absolutely. Friends call me Shush. You got
okay,
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
So Shush, I'm just curious, and then I want to go back to Adam's story. Are you doing the plant based as well? Like, are you all in it too?
Yeah, so when he first went plant-based, I took the progression. I went from some sort of giving up red meat to vegetarian to giving up fish just with a little bit of cheese and egg at the end. So it took me about 6 months to catch up. And then it took us another year to bring the kids on board too. So all four of us are 100% plant-based. If we're out at a restaurant or a cafe, if we don't know if we don't know if there's egg or dairy in a muffin, we won't even eat the muffin. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Yep. So look, what's going through my mind is you went on a roller coaster. I mean, 10 years ago, just feeling like you had an issue going on with your chest, then discovering it was your kidney, then discovering that the tumor wasn't, I forget the term that you used for it.
It was hemangioblastoma.
Or it's benign. It's not cancerous.
It's benign. Right. But then you find out you have this other issue going on. Is like ups and downs, right? And I'm just curious, like, take me through I'm really curious to prior to you discovering the chest pain, what was your diet like then? Like, what were you?
So it was along the lines of the standard American diet. I would eat steak and burgers and chicken and potatoes and some vegetables. And every once in a while I'd go to a fast food restaurant, and back then burgers were like 99 cents. So yeah. I would sometimes have competitions with buddies and see how many we could pound back
but not on a weekly basis or anything like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it was pretty standard American. You know, I did cook a lot at home, but still ate out once in a while, but a lot of meat. And that was just my norm.
I was actually starting to cook a little bit more vegetarian meals for dinners at that time. And I remember just a couple of weeks before, Adam saying to me, we really need to eat more meat. What's with all these vegetarian meals? Like, we should be eating meat for dinner at least 5 times a week. And, you know, we did eat healthy. We ate oatmeal, we ate salads, we ate lots of vegetables, but we ate a lot of fish, tuna, salmon, chicken. We would enjoy a steak a couple of times a month, right? We didn't overeat. We were good weight. If you looked at us, we were a picture of health. Now that I look at myself, I see a little bit more color in my face, and my hair is nicer and my eyes are shinier, but we didn't look bad on the outside. And I think it's really important for people to understand that we are doors and not windows. And unless we do extensive research into our body with tests, we don't know what's happening inside. And like our friend, sometimes when you first get your first sign or symptom that something's actually wrong, that could be it. Everything could just be done in that day. So it's, you know, and you said, you know, your diet might not be perfect. I don't think anybody's diet is really perfect. Like, you know, it was my daughter's birthday the other day. Did we have, you know, cashew cheesecake? Absolutely. Was there way too much sugar in it? Yes. But that's not what we're doing on a daily basis. And we're still making sure that when we make choices that they are not containing animal products that are going to affect our health in a negative way.
Gotcha. I like how you said we're doors, not windows. That's amazing. And the importance of testing, which I'll get into in a little bit. Cashew cheesecake sounds phenomenal. Wow.
So good.
Yeah. like I actually, in my coffee right now, I have cashew cream. That's something we started, but the cheesecake sounds pretty good.
Come on up. I'll make one when the border's open.
Yeah, for sure. You know, what's really, I don't know. My mom's really big into being conscious with her diet. And I think that's what led me to I started juicing back in 2012 and started doing my research and watching these documentaries, which I'm curious what your top documentaries are for people out there who are looking to start or get some kind of education. But what you guys are touching on is, you know, as a former athlete myself, you know, sometimes I look in the mirror and think just because, you know, I look in shape, that I'm healthy, and you kind of take that for granted, right? And start to just live life by default and think you can eat whatever you want. And it's so apparent to me that that's that's happening to a lot of people, I feel like, athletes or not.
It's such a big misconception that just because you look great and you look fit, you are on, like, what you look like on the outside is not what's happening on the inside.
Yes.
And when we're younger and we're like in our teens and in our 20s, we always think we're invincible. Nothing's going to happen to us. We're going to be fine. We could eat whatever we want. We could do anything we want. Nothing's going to happen. And then it only catches up with us much later. What if people started taking care of themselves at an earlier age, eating well, training well, exercising well? What would their future look like then? But we don't think that way, right? We always think about the hack or in the moment, or what can we do right now to make it better for tomorrow?
Instant gratification.
Always. And it doesn't work that way.
And when the time that you find your tumor, or the time that you find out that you have heart disease, it's not like you did something yesterday and boom, you have this tumor here tomorrow, right? It has been months and months of years that has worked up to this point. So it's going to take months and months and years to work backwards. If they're doing autopsies on 10-year-olds who have died for other reasons other than health reasons, and they're finding that kids who are eating the standard American diet who are 10 years old are already showing signs of heart disease as well.
Wow.
So what happens when we're 20, when we're 30, when we're 40? We have people say to us, your lifestyle sounds great. I'm not willing to give things up right now.
Yeah.
When I have my first heart attack, I'll give it up. But I want everybody to go after the show, not now, but I want them to go and look up the stats for how many people their first heart attack is their last day on earth. Like I'm not saying give up. Would I love you to? Absolutely. I'm not saying give up all meat for the rest of your life, all dairy for the rest of your life, all eggs for the rest of your life. You want to have a steak on everybody's birthday in your family? Have a steak on everybody's birthday in your family. You want to make your plate 80% plants and just have the meat or dairy be a condiment or a side dish, right? Like switch the thought process in there. Do that, because the chances of you being in the situations that we were in, or that lots of other people have been in, will decrease significantly. You don't have to, should you? Maybe, but you don't have to give it up completely. Give it up to a certain extent, feel so good, and then you're just going to want to give up more.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
No, you go first. You go first.
So you mentioned the roller coaster before about my little story, and I saw a comment pop up about, I think it was Shane who popped up, the importance of the why. And the reason I was able to do what I've done and go where I've been and do what I do is because of that why. And I remember so vividly and clearly looking at my son's eyes when he was 1, standing in front of me. I was on my knees, my hands on his shoulders, and just looking into his face and thinking that in 2 or 3 years, I may not be here anymore to be able to watch him grow up, to be able to be with her, to raise our daughter as well. And every time I would have a doubt in my mind or think that maybe this is not what I should be doing, I always come back to that moment and realize and remember that I'm doing this because I want to be here for the long haul, to be with my family, to be the best person and role model that I can be, and to help everybody around me raise their level, whatever they're doing. And so that's what jumped me into this whole process that we're going through in changing my lifestyle, in the family changing theirs. And now we help other people do that as well, so they could avoid having to go through so many of the things that we went through, whether it was the tumor growth or the heart disease or the PTSD or the anxiety or there's the depression, raising a family this way. We've gone through all these steps, and now we're just trying to help other people avoid some of the pitfalls that we went through. But it always comes back to me looking into his eyes and just thinking, you know, I'm going to be here. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure I'm here to help you. And I know it's emotional every time.
I don't normally get emotional. We talk about it so much. I don't normally.
But it's such a powerful reason for me. And that's what helps people shift into the right path when they find something that's so deep and meaningful for themselves and they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. That's what helps people get to that next level of whatever it is they're going after.
Absolutely. I commend you, man. I think that's really inspiring. And what I want to say to you guys is, first of all, for everybody who's just tuning in, this is Shoshana and Adam, my good friends that I met over on TikTok. I'm not even sure. I think you hopped into one of my lives, Adam, or Shush. I don't know who it was. I think it was Adam.
It's usually him.
But since then, I think we've been connected, and I've been on your lives, and you guys are doing a great job on educating people on just the importance of eating a great, having a great lifestyle. And I think it's a heavy topic, especially with people who are from America, because I believe, this is my personal opinion, but after some of the stuff that I've been watching, that we're addicted to food, number one, and number two, just the standard diet isn't. You said it, Shush, like the stats show that the standard American diet isn't the healthiest. And so for you guys, I'm super curious going in and taking this role on educating people. For people out in the audience, where do people start? Like, where do you even begin to process this information? Because it is heavy. It is heavy on some level, right? But how do you navigate people to start?
Well, before you do that, because I know what you're going to do, I would say that people need to start developing an awareness around the food that they're already consuming. Most people are basically just shoveling food into their mouth without realizing the effect that the food might have on them, whether it's mentally or physically. They are just going through the motions because they don't have time to focus on that. They're too busy. And so when you build a bit of awareness around what you're putting in your body and understand how your body is reacting to it, you're going to be able to start to make positive changes if positive changes are needed. So building that awareness, I think, is an important place to start. But now you can go ahead with
Okay,
that.
and first of all, peace to Faith, because her comments are awesome, and thank you for being here. But so there's so many different places to start, and depending on who I'm working with in terms of one-on-one, some people are all in like Adam, some people are slow, one at a time. So start with breakfast, work your way to lunches. Now let's try one dinner a week to be, vegetarian or vegan, and then the next month add 2, right? There's different methods that you could take depending on how all in you are. But what you should just start to do is add more fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds to every single meal so that they start to overpower the other foods. So if you're used to eating bacon and eggs for breakfast every single morning, okay, great. Can you maybe throw some spinach into those eggs? How can you put more vegetables into those eggs? Can you have 1 egg instead of 4 and have a small bowl of oatmeal on the sides? Carbs are good. Whole grain carbohydrates are good. Our bodies need them for fuel. Our brain needs them to think. They're here and they're plentiful on Earth, growing properly for a reason. It's not a mistake, right? It's everything else that makes them, that processes them too much, or that creates these negative effects in our body. So we really need to help start balancing that. But then, start putting in, meatless Mondays, right? Great. Is it cliche? Maybe, but does it work? Absolutely. I think there's something. Sure. It's a start. There's so many resources out there besides us. Of course, we have, like, every Monday we post on Instagram at PlantTrainers, we post some kind of vegan meal, meatless Monday meal. But then, we have meal plans. I don't love meal plans because you might be allergic to chickpeas, or you might have a gag reflex to some other kind of food. So it needs to be individual, but there's so many good places to start and to get information from.
Awesome. Super cool. Look, let me tell you something, you two. This is the first time I'm taking notes on this show. Like, there's, I'm literally like over here writing and trying to keep up with what you're saying, because it's really important information. And I have a question for you guys. So there's so many questions I have, but this is the one that just popped in my head related to this topic. Carbs are important because that's what your body uses for energy. But can you, for my own interest in education, what's the importance of ketosis and using your fat for energy as well. Because I've always that's kind of something that's been on my mind lately.
So Adam might have a different opinion, but I think ketosis has been marketed to the extent that it's marketed today to burn fat as fuel because people have too much fat. So let's let's be preventative instead of being proactive. Instead of continuously putting fat into your body and onto your body and burning that as fuel, why don't we eat healthy foods across a big spectrum? Fiber is so important. 70% of Americans are not getting enough fiber. That means your gut bacteria is off. That affects your mental health. That affects your recovery. That affects your ability to perform as an athlete. So yes, is ketosis important? It's absolutely important. Do you want to know when? It's important when you're in a famine. It's important when you're stuck on a cliff and you've run out of your food and you're waiting for help to come and rescue you, and it's 4 days later. It's important when you're running away from dinosaurs and need to be hiding in a cave. That's why the body has been built to have ketosis, so that you can survive a situation that is not everyday life. We are giving up some foods that are super important for the foods that we crave for a reason. We crave the salt, we crave the fat, because that's what allows us to survive. And as humans, we are meant to survive and reproduce to keep the human race alive. So when we have foods that are extremely high in fat, we become addicted to them, or our brains want them, or our bodies want them, because that's what's going to help us to survive. But we live with grocery stores where we have amazing good options of whole foods, and we kind of have our primate instincts all mixed up with real life. So is ketosis effective? Yes. But when the gout kicks in and the kidney stones kick in and the GERD kicks in and everything else starts to fall apart in the body, that's when we get people showing up on our virtual doorstep saying,
yes,
help reverse all the problems I've created. I've lost all this weight, but now what do I do because I'm really sick?
Yeah.
I think that's the attractive part of going through the keto diet or getting into ketosis, is that you quickly will lose weight. And people think that that's the reason that they're doing it. And for the long term, it may not be a very good solution for most people, because your body doesn't thrive in ketosis long term. And there might be people that will disagree, and there might be some science or research that might prove that wrong.
And there's always a certain percentage of people that will prove it wrong. But when you start to look at the bigger numbers,
which is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And going into a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet, you're going to lose weight very quickly too. I lost 20 pounds that I didn't even know I had 20 pounds to lose.
I lost all my baby weight in like 2 or 3 months. Done.
Wow.
But now I've been at that weight consistently for years. Like, this is the weight that my body was meant to be at. And so that being said, there's a place for ketosis, and a lot of endurance athletes will tell you that they want to get into a fat burning stage so that their body will perform on burning its own body fat rather than the constant gels and carbs and sugars and processed things. So there's a huge difference. And you mentioned carbs before. Remember, we're talking about non-processed foods.
Yeah.
The carbs that are good for you are the whole grain carbohydrates that actually give you long-lasting fuel, rather than the simple carbs, the sugars, the processed foods. So it's yeah.
We have a really bad understanding of what nutrition is, and what has happened in the last couple of years is carbs has essentially become a food group that people avoid. I avoid carbs. Well, guess what? Your bok choy will have carbs too. Your carrots will have carbs too. There are, there are a certain amount of people who are celiac or allergic to grains, and because the chickens have been fed way too many grains, they are so sensitive that they will even react to the chicken because it's been grown on grains. So there can possibly be carbs inside of a lot of different foods that we eat, but when you're eating whole grains, your body's working better. You're creating the proper enzymes to break it down. You're using it as fuel. If you eat too much of anything, will it probably sit on your body as fat? Absolutely. And that's the other thing. restaurants are increasing portion size to make it more attractive to us. And we eat that and we finish it. And we're teaching our stomachs and we're teaching our brains to want more food.
Right.
And we are the most here in North America, overfed and undernourished society. We need to have a slew of vitamins and minerals. If you're only eating animal products all day and you're taking all of your vitamin C and vitamin K and vitamin everything else by a supplement, that should tell us something. We need to take a step back and we need to get back into nature.
Gotcha. That's super important. Real quick break for everybody who's out there. I know there's questions going on in your mind or comments or thoughts. Please leave them in the comment section below, or something cool that I want to start. I don't know if it's going to take place in this call, cool. But please text in your questions and we might be able to feature you, bring you on for not only a virtual hug, but for a chance for you guys to meet Shush and Adam. So please, awesome. The scroll below has my number. You text that number, text your questions or leave them in the comments. We did have a question come in from Faith. She says, what are the best carbs? What foods? How do I incorporate good carbs?
I try not to live without any regrets, and I'm regretting saying the word carbs to begin with because now I've created confusion. So let's bring that back and and just say, what are the best foods? What are the best foods? What is the best source of fiber? Well, you want to make sure that you're eating whole foods. So
that's key because fiber is a type of carbohydrate that most people don't even realize.
Right.
And most North Americans, most people around the world are not consuming enough fiber.
Right.
Everybody's concerned about where am I going to get my protein from? Am I getting enough protein? But the truth is your gut microbiome is not going to survive. It's not going to thrive unless you're consuming fiber that's actually helping that gut microbiome and cleaning out your system.
Gut microbiome is the bacteria that's growing in your stomach. There's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and you want to make sure that good bacteria is a lot bigger so that it can overcome the bad bacteria and eat it up. So that's what he means.
So fiber is the most important thing. So go back to what foods you wanted to talk about.
Right. So whole grains. If you're eating foods that you can tell were grown in nature, you're doing good. So we're talking about brown rice, even white rice if you have to. Sweet potatoes, guess what? White potatoes too. Oats, so whole oats, rolled oats,
steel cut
oats, quinoa, you can millet. There's so many different types of grains out there. And again, like I said, a lot of our fruits and vegetables have carbohydrates in them too. So that counts too. If you want to take it a step further, when you start to get into flours, so grains that have been milled down, what you're doing is to be able to fill my hand with, let's say, half a cup of grains. If you mill down that half a cup of, let's say, rice, you're going to need so much more rice to fill half a cup in my other hand of the milled down rice. So you're consuming way more calories, way more food for the same volume that's going to fill up in the stomach. And so you want to eat, you want to chew your food, and you want your food to look like it did when it first came from nature.
Wow. That's huge. So much. This is value packed. This is a value packed Cup of Joe show. I hope you guys are really paying attention.
And yes, you could still have a coffee too.
Of course.
Awesome.
That's always the question. Like, if I go plant-based, can I still drink coffee?
That was on my mind. I was like, should I tell them I'm drinking coffee right now? But yeah, definitely.
I'm drinking water. I drink from this all day because I drink more water when I drink from this container. But people must think I'm just drinking coffee.
So let me tell you something about the coffee. Coffee has been shown to be good for you as long as you're not going in excess of 3 or more a day. But really where people go wrong is what they're adding into the coffee. Because if you drink it black, you're getting all those antioxidants, you're getting all those benefits. But as soon as you start dumping dairy milk or sugar into it, you're now taking in things into your body that are harmful. And so continuing to do that over time is just adding more harm to your body.
And being a 41-year-old mother who is running a business and doing all of these things and who has had mental health issues, drinking more than 1 cup of coffee, I would say, is definitely not recommended. And I'm not talking about a Texas-sized coffee. I once drove through Texas and I stopped and I asked for a medium coffee, a large coffee, and it was like, I don't know, like 16 ounces or 32 ounces.
Sure.
Like the
I'm like,
big gulp.
I'm like, that's the medium. And he's like, ma'am, this is Texas. And I'm like, oh my God. But going back to it, so what you're doing is you're creating all of this false energy in the body. You're going to be staying up later. And even if you don't, and even if you do fall asleep, your sleep will not be as quality. Even if you're not waking up, you won't go into the proper sleep cycles necessarily. And that's so important for releasing hormones into your blood system so that your body can recuperate. So although the research will show that 1 to 3 cups of coffee is fine, if you're somebody who's suffering with anything, I'd say limit it to 1.
Gotcha. Super important. I have a question from Jill, but I'm going to get your thought first, Adam. I feel like you had a thought you want to share.
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. So Jill says, Jill's a good friend of mine too, by the way. There's so many good my people
Jill.
here from
Lots of
TikTok.
good friends.
We have David. I don't know, Adam. Have you guys met Raging Fire Fitness?
No,
David?
I don't think so.
His story is phenomenal when it comes to nutrition. He's a big nutrition guy as well.
Awesome.
I'll link you guys up. But Jill says, how much fiber should we have per day?
So that's a trick question, because it all depends on the individual and how much fiber you're already consuming. And if you have any issues currently health-wise, it's hard for me to give you a number. Now, one of the things that we don't do is we don't count our calories. We don't count our macronutrients. We've never really done that, other than when we were doing some serious bodybuilding, and that was something we were told we had to do.
And it messed with my head.
And it didn't go over very well. But
I feel like when you're on a plant-based diet anyways, or when you're living this kind of lifestyle, you can eat almost.
Well, that's the thing, right? We try not to be reductionist that way, right? And we try to just say, if you are eating a variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains throughout the day, and you're really limiting the amount of foods that are coming out of a box or that have been processed, that you're probably eating enough. And if you are eating more protein than fiber, then that's a red flag right there. It's got to switch.
I would say, how much fiber, the question, Jill, I think, was how much fiber should I have per day? And the question I would ask back is, are you going to the bathroom regularly? And that's her favorite topic. She loves
I love talking about poo. Okay, so can we go there?
Let's go there. Let's go.
Okay, let's go there. So you need to assess your poo situation. Are you visiting and sitting 1 to 3 times a day? Are you able to, call your mother, read a book, send 18 texts, and that's how long it's taking you to sit there? That's another red flag. Not enough fiber, right? Like you'll get to the point where you're quick in and out, right? You've got to be quick in and out. Is there a mess happening and it takes you just as long to clean up after? That's another red flag that something's not right. The gut microbiome, right? The bacteria in the stomach's not right. So there's so many different things to consider there. And if you're feeling, so some people will say, but I can't eat beans, or the vegetables make me feel bloated, so I avoid them.
Or gassy,
I avoid them. What we need to do is we might need to eliminate some and work with others for the time being, but just adding just a little bit more each day, right? If you haven't had a drink for a year and you go and have a glass of wine, by the 3rd sip, you're going to be like, whoo, done. Sure. But if you have a glass every day, you'll be able to handle the glass without, falling to the floor. It's the same thing with, I'm not saying go out drinking, but it's the same thing with the fiber. You've got to, if you're in a position where it's upsetting you, you've got to work your way up and use the fibrous fruits and vegetables not nuts, fruits and vegetables and grains that make you feel better. Work your way up to a certain amount and then start to add in more, but a little bit slower.
But that's slower. That's key, because a lot of people will want to start taking fiber in and they'll start eating beans, for example, but they haven't been eating beans in the last years or months or days. and they just take a whole pile of it. And then all of a sudden,
salad the size of their green salad, and they're eating that instead.
All of a sudden they're bloated and gassy, and they're like, I'm not going to eat this. Now I'm so gassy and I feel terrible. And that's because the gut microbiome is not adjusted to that kind of healthy food. And so it takes a bit of time for your gut to transform. And you want to add in that little bit of fiber regularly over time, not all at once, until your body adjusts.
And you shouldn't have to take an enzyme to be able to break it down either. You need to build your body up to create its own enzymes. Your body should begin to work properly. And if you are coming out of ketosis back into, the carbohydrate world, you've got to work slowly too.
Gotcha. I was going to ask a question around probiotics and prebiotics and what your take is on that. And I know you mentioned earlier that if you're taking supplements, but like consuming the regular American diet, it's not really good balance, right? We need to take a pause and take a step back and try to see if we can incorporate some vegetables and nutrients. But are you guys, I know you're not recommending anything, but do you guys talk about like supplementation from a pill standpoint, from a
Yeah, so we try to get everything through our food as much as possible. And there's obviously a few things that we can't get through our food. And so we need to supplement, and mainly talking about vitamin D and B12, which are not deficiencies that plant-based eaters or vegan eaters have actually.
As often.
Everybody in the world has those deficiencies, and more non-plant-based eaters are finding that they have those deficiencies as well. And so D comes from the sun and our skin being able to transform it. And B12 used to come from the earth and the bacteria that they had in the earth, which is why everybody says you got to get it from meat, because the animals are eating the soil. But the soil is so depleted that it no longer contains enough B12 for us to actually get, which is why that needs to be supplemented as well.
Yeah.
Or they're not grazing, they're being fed corn. So
Right.
They're not having that opportunity to get those little pieces of earth mixed in. And we're so neat freaks now and clean freaks that, there's not one little piece of bacteria left on anything we eat. So we can't possibly get it. And I actually find, my hypothesis is that the vegan and plant-based community is actually less deficient in B12 because we're supplementing with it, where the rest of society doesn't understand that they're actually not getting as much as they need to. And you hear about people all the time getting injections for B12. And part of that is that the body is not even absorbing the B12 that they are getting because our cellular health is the pits. Our cellular health is the pits. We have, I saw somebody make a comment about eating organic and growing your own. And yes, absolutely. If you can afford it and if it's available to you, eat as organic as possible. We could all grow little herb gardens inside our house, outside our house, different times of year, for some people year round. So we should be doing as much of that as possible. But if we have so much toxicity in our air, we have toxicity on our food, we have toxicity on the clothes that we buy, and then even if we wash it and put it on our skin, we're absorbing toxicity from that. We have genetic disorders that are starting to come out with mental health issues, car accidents, endurance athletes still putting a lot of pressure on their body. Our cellular health is not what it's supposed to be, and we don't have enough of our healing mechanisms to keep up. So that's why we see people gaining excess weight for no reason, having hormone disorders, having autoimmune diseases, not recovering after sports when they used to, because the body is aging and we don't have enough healing to deal with all of these outside problems. So some people are not absorbing enough of their nutrients. Do they need to take more by supplementing? Yes, but can we look deeper inside the body and start to do things to create better cellular health so that we do absorb what we're eating and we do absorb what we're taking in? Because a lot of us are taking all of these supplements and literally flushing it down the toilet, just to talk about poop again, because we're not absorbing it. And people say we are what we eat, and I disagree. We are what we absorb.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Wow.
are part of our history too. So people who have abused food, abused drugs and alcohol, who have had mental health issues or have been on a ton of antibiotics their whole entire life, that is still part of their DNA now. That's still part of them now. And they might need to work a little bit harder. And I put myself in that category just based on antibiotics my whole life. We have to work a little bit harder now. So we do with sometimes with ourselves and with some clients, we will work with cellular supplementation and start there. And then if we need to, we sometimes work with nutritional supplements too, but lifestyle is the number one. Lifestyle is the number one.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to give you guys a chance to talk about your brand and your company here in a second. We do have a guest. It happens to be my soul sister, Faith, that is hopping on. I'm guessing she has some questions for you guys. Real quick, though, there's a name I left. I don't know if you guys can see the screen well, but Raging Fire Fitness is David, who I want to connect you guys with. And I'm sure you guys will appreciate what he's about. So, okay, let's bring on Faith.
Sweet.
Cool. Oh, look at the screen.
That's so cool.
Hey, Faith, how are you?
Hey.
I'm hiding in my kids' room that I'm painting. You can see my big painting mess in here. So
Well, come on over to our house when you're done.
If I showed you my the finished product, you would tell me to stay at home.
That's funny. Well, what's up, Faith? How's it going?
Man, I'm being inspired by you two awesome people that are almost making me want to pull it together. I don't know. Like if you could get me to pull it together, it would be like success story one-on-one. Cause I've never, I'm like 115 pounds soaking wet, but on the inside, it's a big old mess. So like, that's always been the joke, for me.
Yeah. Faith, you just said something that triggered me, and you said, if you all could make me pull it together. And that is something that so many people struggle with, because one of the things we are not able to do is change other people. It has to come from the other person. Mm-hmm. So you have to be willing to go there. You have to be willing to do the work to get to where you want to be. And if you're not really deeply wanting to get there, it's going to be very difficult for us or anybody else to do that for you.
And I was going to bring that up.
Intriguing people, I'll tell you that. You're intriguing people.
Inspirational, absolutely. But the work is going to come from you. Even if you listen to us every single week on the podcast and catch our lives or whatever, you're still the one who's going to do the work. And I wanted to bring it up earlier, but it was Joe's turn to talk, so I let him talk. But when Adam said right at the beginning, and you could go back, maybe, I'm sure this is recorded on Facebook or wherever, everywhere that this is, go back and listen after. And Adam said, first I went plant-based, and then Shush and the family came along too. Most people would say, I'm plant-based or I'm vegan, and I'm trying to get my husband to do it too. Or I want the family to do it too. And people are in this battle of, I'm going to force you to. And food is so personal, and like nutrition. So, we should never force kids to eat something. We should never give them ultimatums that are going to mess with their heads, because they need control. People need control of their lives. We're so out of control in so many ways. We're governed in so many ways. And chewing food and swallowing is one of the only things that we have control over. We're told when we can cross a border and when we can't. When we could leave. Right now, we're told when we could leave our house and when we can't. We're told when we need to be at work. We're told to dress nicely for weddings. We're told all of these things, and food is like the only thing that we can actually do for ourselves. So you need to do this for yourself. And you've got kids and maybe a partner. You can't do it for them either. You could just inspire and lead the way. And when people are ready for the information, they will come.
I will tell you guys that if you were to take an assessment of my energy level right now, it is through the roof. I'm like ready to just hop up and
hyped is the word.
In my lives, they coined the term PhD for me, which stands for passionate, hyperactive determination. And like, I love this conversation so much. I have a question for you, Faith.
Yeah.
What's intriguing about this conversation for you personally, right? Because I love how they're going back to like it takes the why. So I'm curious, like you hopping on here, you being involved in this conversation, what is going through your mind?
So for me, it's very personal because you said the thing about control. For me, when I went through, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder from a death, from losing my mother. And food became the thing that it was control, and I couldn't even eat it. I couldn't chew it for years. I couldn't chew it. I couldn't swallow it. I would sit at the table and take big bites and drink big swallows of water so I could swallow food, so people would quit paying attention to the fact that, I lost all my baby weight from trauma. My mom got killed 22 days before my first child was born. So you're talking to someone who for 10 years has had who grew up in a southern town where everyone ate meat and potatoes. Every vegetable was mushy with ham hock in it. Mm-hmm. And, like lard was what everyone cooked with. And then when I became an adult and had children, I was broken and had a very unhealthy relationship with food because I was in so much trauma, my body couldn't physically handle it. And so, hold on, buddy, I'm doing something. Shelly, I really need help. I know, but I need you to shut the door. I'm on a live call. Hold on 1 second.
Is that Eli?
All of them, all three.
Yes.
So anyway, food was like an enemy. And then I started to get better, but nutrition has never, like, no one even told me to drink water when I was little. We drank sweet tea. That was what was in the refrigerator. No, I don't ever remember anyone looking to me in a small southern town and being like, have you had any water? Like, my kids drink water. It's all they drink. They don't have soft drinks, right? But that's because I wanted to do something different for them. But I've created something for them that I feel like is better than I deserve. And as I was hearing you talk, somehow I was like, wait a minute. Like, yeah, I'm almost 38 years old, right? And have a very unhealthy relationship with food because of my trauma, because I physically couldn't eat. So I'm intrigued because of Joe, I am arguably and trauma therapy and healing and Jesus and a whole lot of other things, right? I'm the best person I've ever been in my life. So my text to him was, how much could the world handle the energy I may have if I was giving to my body what it deserved? And it just, that's what intrigued me was, what if I take all of these things that are out there and apply them to me? And what could, if I'm this healed and healthy and fired up now, then if my body was getting what it needed, it was almost like, oh, well, it was, I'm in a place where you said it. I'm making the choices every day to shift my mindset. I'm rewiring neuro pathways from trauma. Like, I have fought my way out of this. I'm crying because I'm happy. This is joyous for me. But hearing you guys was like another step. It was like, wait a minute. This is a part of me I've been afraid to look at, that maybe if I could get a hold of it and do something good. I mean, I know it's life-giving. It's scary to look at it when you have the relationship with food that I've had, and you don't know where to start. You know, I don't have I was a meat and potato family. My first memory is my daddy having a massive heart attack when I was 3 years old, and he had 4 more. Like, I'm a child of trauma, and so everything you're saying to me is real because I've lived through it. I've seen my family go through it. I was afraid my whole life my dad was going to die because he should have, but he's still alive, right? And I want to live my best life so I can look at my kids, because I know what it's like to lose that parent. And when you said that, my heart just resonated, because I've looked at my children and thought, I want to be my best self, because I want to be here with you as long as I can be and do as much good as I can and take care of my body. And so you two are inspiring people, I'm telling you, because you have really inspired me this morning. And I don't cry like this in front of the world. So
You're good. What thoughts, Adam? And
So,
Trish?
I mean, first off, I would say thank you, Faith, for being
Yeah.
so vulnerable and sharing and being so open and
We
not
see
holding
you.
back. And we hear
Mhm.
you and we appreciate that. And we're so sorry for your loss and all the hard things you've gone through. And unfortunately, these are all things that we learn from and they make us stronger. And all the challenges that we face are what puts us to a place where we're going to make change at whatever pace we want to make it to improve everybody around us. And you're already doing that for your own kids, even if it's just giving them water instead of sweet tea.
Yeah.
It might be a very small shift, right? But
Yeah.
it makes a long lasting impact. And by you being able to recognize the opportunity for change and growth and development and the energy that you have and could have if you make more change, it's really mind blowing if you really focus on it for a few minutes.
It'll get you hyped.
But the world needs people like you. The world needs people like you who have that energy, that want to give, and make everybody around you better. Because by making people around you better, you're going to make yourself better. And that's what your kids need from you. And one of the things that a lot of people forget is that, yes, I always want to do for my kids what I didn't have for me. But during that process, quite often, parents forget that if they don't do it for themselves, they're not going to be able to do it for their kids. And so sometimes it's really important to put themselves first, put yourself first, and take care of you so that you're better able to take care of others. And I think that's a piece that a lot of people forget about, with the best of intentions, but we forget that we need to take care of us before we could take care of others. And that's what I would say. Did you want to add to that?
I just wanted to say that you needed to go through everything you've been through to be here right now, serendipitously on this live, right? Like any steps that you've taken to better yourself in the last, let's say, 10 years. So nutrition may not have, there you go. Woo. And nutrition may not have been, the number one on your list, or maybe it was somewhere in the back of your head, but maybe that hasn't been a step that you've taken. But it does take strength to make, and we've seen so many of those comments coming through from Liquid and all of that. It does take strength to make nutrition changes because it's so personal to us. And for you to have the strength to sit here today to say, I don't know what tomorrow's going to be, but I feel powered up enough now that I'm definitely going to think about what's on my lunch plate. You had to go through all that other healing to be able to get here now.
Amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
My biggest takeaway from this entire conversation is the whole lead by example thing, because I think it's easy to point the finger. When we see what needs to be done, it's easier to be like, hey, you should be doing it this way, or you should be doing it that way. And my biggest mission is just to lead by my example. And so I really love that you brought that up, because I think that's something that we all forget often in life. And it's really the biggest way I felt that not only I've been able to influence people, but just like yourselves, right? Like you guys led this mission because you guys changed your lifestyle and seen how it's dramatically, impacted your life. And now you're just sharing it with the world. And I think that's super important. So I appreciate you guys. And Faith, I appreciate you always. Faith and I, we jam all the time. So I'm happy that she's on the show and getting a chance to meet you all.
Yeah,
Faith,
you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you. So we have a plant powered party. It's a 21-day program for people who just want to try plant-based for 21 days. It's not something that we're running now on a larger scale, but all the information is there. So get in touch with us, and I want to gift that to you so that when you're ready, you have all of that information, all of those videos, all of those worksheets, all of that there for you. And we're going to help you when you're ready.
Sweet. That's amazing.
I'm ready. So I'm going to get in contact with you today because I'm here with my kids. Like now's the time. Like, when has there ever been a gift from the world that was like, sit still, pull yourself together, look inside of yourself, grow, love, give, and be better. Like, I'm just trying to be better. And I'm on such a journey that I can't imagine that the plan to being better doesn't start with, I've always known it. I just never felt like I was, you're right, ready, like equipped and determined. And Joe can tell you, like, I'm that person. If I don't want to say, if I'm not going to do it, I won't say it. I just kind of will keep my mouth shut. Like, but once I say it, I've come on live and held myself accountable for a reason, right? So I think that's something important to do, to say things out loud and to kind of hold ourselves accountable. So I believe it because I'm saying it. And so
you got this.
I'm not going to cry again because I'm not. So thank you. I'm getting in touch with you because I love you both. And now you're stuck with me.
Uh-oh.
That's great.
Joe will tell you, once you're stuck with me, I don't go away.
Bring it on.
She's an amazing person to have in your circle for sure. Well, thank you so much, Faith.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Thank
I
you,
will.
Faith.
I'll get you in touch with them as well after
All right,
this.
appreciate it.
All
Talk
right,
to you
sweet.
soon. Thanks,
All right.
y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so yo, it's 11:11, which is amazing. Let's look at the time. So everybody out there, make a wish. I want to do a quick rapid fire just question, and then I want to give you guys a chance to kind of direct people on where navigate on how to find you. Obviously, I have your handle below, but if you guys have a website or things that you're promoting, I'll give you a chance. But real quick, what are your favorite hobbies, you two, individually?
I'm enjoying podcasting and obviously fitness. I'm running a lot, and triathlon is a hobby.
So yeah, I guess podcasting did start as a hobby, and before Corona, I was playing catchball, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh wow, I don't even know what catchball is.
Think about volleyball, and instead of hitting the ball, you're actually throwing and catching the ball, but the speed is just as fast.
Nice. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's intense. I'm gonna look it up. Cool. What got you? So real quick, just take me through the journey of you went to the doctor, chest pain, found out it was a kidney issue. Then you went through this dramatic lifestyle change of your diet. How did PlantTrainers come to be?
So we were already personal trainers and teaching people about nutrition, but at some point we kind of made the shift to plants, and I said to her, let's start a podcast to share this information. And she said, no, I'm not ready. I'm going through too much. So we waited a year. And then we decided that we're going to start helping people with their nutrition on plants, because that was not something that was really available 10 years ago, 8 years ago, even, like it is today. Now it's like a huge thing. It's like all over the place. But back then, people didn't know about it. And so I thought that it was such an important message, such an important impact that it made on my life, that I needed to share it. And so we developed PlantTrainers, and we started working with clients and working with people on their fitness and nutrition, and meeting people wherever they are in their journey, and just trying to get them a little bit healthier and improve their quality of life.
And then before we knew it, we were on airplanes going to speak at nutrition conferences down in the States. It was like cool.
Awesome. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, good for you too. Where you want to navigate people? You guys have the floor. Tell them where to go.
So if you're a podcast listener, our podcast is on every podcasting platform available. It's the PlantTrainers podcast. You could just go to our website, planttrainers.com, and then we're on all social media at PlantTrainers, whether it's TikTok now or Instagram or Twitter. The PlantTrainers podcast on Facebook, we're available, and we're going live every day on Instagram and TikTok at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if people are here now and they still want to ask more questions, please come join us, because we're loving that opportunity to really connect on a deeper level and answer individual questions with our people that are popping in. So that's been a fun experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are tuning in, like the biggest, outside of this, like the biggest value you can get is literally by contacting these two individuals who are willingly like out here to share knowledge and answer your questions. And I think that's what I'm so obsessed about with social media, is the fact that I get to access, beautiful people like yourselves. So thank you so much for your time. My last question before we go is, if you were on a platform like Ellen, like the Ellen Show, what would be your one message that you want the world to know?
So number one, we will be on Ellen. I don't know when, but we will. Right?
So,
Okay.
pack me in your suitcase.
All right. I think it's important for people to know that it's okay to be where they have been, and it's okay to have a vision of where they want to go, and it's okay to make all kinds of mistakes along the way. But at the end of the day, we need to recognize that we are doors and not windows, and we don't know what's happening underneath. And if we wait for sickness, whether it be mental health or physical health, to make a change, then we might not have the opportunity.
Wow. Good message.
I would come back to what I said earlier, and for me, it's always about the power of food and what we consume, and how the food we consume could either heal us from any issues that we have physically or mentally, or it could harm us and create more issues for us. So we need to pay a little more attention to what we're consuming, what we're putting into our body, and the effects that that food has on our body, because we are all different. We are all individuals, and certain foods will impact certain people in a different way. And it's your job to be able to create an awareness around the food you put into your body and realize the impact that it's having. Food is so powerful, people. It makes such a difference. It could really help heal you and make you become this powerful high performer, or it could knock you down. And the choice is yours. I wake up every morning and I say, I'm strong, I'm determined, I could do anything I choose to do. And what I say to people, and I leave them with this, is you're strong, you're determined, you could do anything that you choose to do, just like I can. You just need to make that choice and go there.
Awesome. Awesome. Great messages. You two are a blessing. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on episode number 44. I know we'll be in touch. This is a part one for sure, because like there's so many other questions that I have, and just would love to bring you guys back on. Thank you so much. And for everybody who's tuning in, please go follow them, PlantTrainers, and support their movement.
Thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate all that you're doing, and for you taking the time to have us. We'd obviously love to be back and continue to build this relationship with you and all your followers and listeners. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, you guys have an amazing day, and we'll be in touch for sure. And to everybody out there in the YouTube, Facebooks, and where am I at? Twitter and Twitch, I think. I love you. You guys have an amazing day. Faith actually gave me an acronym that I want to start saying. It's have joyous, outstanding energy. And remember, it takes less than 60 seconds to spread some kindness. And what better way to spread kindness than to treat your body with what it needs? So love you guys. Have an amazing day. And I'm signing off. Hey, if you guys want to stick around in the backstage, you can, or we'll catch up later on today. All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right, you're welcome.